maybe some names that FSU fans should keep a close eye on before we get to Christmas Day.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that this is ever changing, and Florida State, there's going to be some other transfers that I'm sure they're interested in and bring in for visits over the coming weeks. But as of now, a couple of names to watch. We'll start there with some UCF guys.
Mhm.
Florida State had former UCF starting center Caden Kittler on campus this week, and he started in 11 games at center for the Knights in 2024. 3 years of experience under Gus Malzahn and Herb Hand. So I think that can play into Florida State's favor. We'll see how hard they push, but obviously the Seminoles need a center. And then recently, you had UCF offensive lineman Adrian Medley hit the portal, and this is a guy going into his 7th year at the college level, spent all of that at UCF, and you're probably wondering, well, how does that work? He redshirted in 2019. 2020 did not count towards eligibility, obviously due to COVID, and then he suffered a season-ending injury in 2022. So starting left guard for UCF in 2024, 815 snaps. Those guys, Medley and Kittler, would probably both be starters at Florida State in 2025. Sticking with the Knights, you've got former UCF tight end Randy Pittman, who we've talked about before on the show, former FSU commit, decided to sign with UCF, a very versatile tight end. He was also in Tallahassee a couple of days ago, has been to Arizona State since then, and we'll see if FSU is able to pull that one off. A big one would be USC wide receiver Deuce Robinson, who is a Florida State legacy. His father, Dominic Robinson, played at FSU in the early 2000s on the football team. Also spent a year on the baseball team as well. But Deuce Robinson, 6'6", 220 pounds, a former 5-star prospect, has averaged nearly 20 yards per catch during his 2 years at the college level. And the thing that impressed me the most, a 4.2% drop rate on 46 targets in 2024. And you compare that to guys on FSU like Ja'Kai Douglas, who had a 5.9% drop rate on 46 targets, and Malik Benson, who had a 7.4% drop rate on 47 targets. I mean, this is a guy who knows how to catch the football at an elite level. And then we can also talk about Charlotte's wide receiver, Omega Blake. He had a breakout campaign in 2024. 32 catches for 795 yards and 9 touchdowns. He was also recently at FSU, so we'll see. FSU clearly in the market for a receiver. I think him and Robinson would both be very good fits in Tallahassee. And we can just kind of round it out with Georgia linebacker Troy Bowles, who was at FSU a couple of days ago. The son of Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach Todd Bowles, who you know quite well, Logan.
Yeah.
Played pretty sparingly during his 2 years at Georgia, but this is a guy who was a blue chip recruit, a top 100 prospect by multiple recruiting services coming out of high school. A little bit small for that linebacker position. I think he's just about 6 foot or 6'1", but very athletic, very physical, and still some potential there to be tapped.
A lot of names. I want to go to Randy Pittman real quick because we're going to talk about Marqueston Douglas returning, but I think it fits well for what Florida State's going to do offensively, and he's just a good blocker, man. Just matching that with Marqueston Douglas. They need some blocking guys if they're able to keep guys like Landon Thomas and, of course, Amari Williams, just depending on what they end up doing with him. If he's going to move over to defensive end primarily, I still would love to have Amari Williams on the offensive side of the ball. I think he's a playmaker and has some good hands, and we saw it last season. Why would you take that away? But also, too, you have needs at the edge position. But I think Randy Pittman helps fill a hole there a little bit. But, yeah, Bowles' son coming through. I would love to see Todd Bowles come around and hang out at some FSU practices. That would be awesome.